You're a man of action. You live life to the fullest, embrace your fears, and boldly chart your own path. When life knocks you down, you get back up one more time, every time. You are not easily deterred or defeated. Rugged, resilient, strong. This is your life. This is who you are. This is who you will become. At the end of the day, and after all is said and done, you can call yourself a man.
Gentlemen, what is going on today? My name is Ryan Mickler, and I am the host and the founder of this podcast, The Order of Man. You just stumbled upon, whether you've been here forever or just getting started, the greatest podcast in the world of podcasting for men. We are interviewing the world's most successful men, from athletes to warriors to scholars to entrepreneurs and business owners, fathers, husbands, you name it. If they're doing good and big things in their lives, we are interviewing those men. We are breaking down their skills and their strategies and their resources and their tactics, the things that they're doing in their lives to enhance their lives, of course, and the lives of those that they care about. So we are delivering that stuff straight to you directly through this podcast. I'm glad that you're here and you're joining us. Now, this show is our Friday Field Notes. It's a little bit different than our interview shows because you get to listen to me. You get to listen to me ramble and basically just talk about some of the things that I've been thinking about from throughout the week. And I've got a good one lined up for you today on the subject of makers and takers. But I've got a couple of quick announcements before I get into the meat of the conversation. The first thing I wanted to share with you is that this show is sponsored by the Order of Man store. I know it's a little different because usually we have a podcast sponsor. We're not going to be doing that so much because I'd rather focus on what we're doing here than talking about other products that may or may not be relevant to you. So I know it's a little cliche to talk about this show being sponsored by the Order of Man store, but I thought what a great way to support the show. If you've got any value or insight or anything from this podcast that has enhanced and improved your life, that's a great way to support the show. It's also a great way to look good. We've got hats, patches, shirts. We've got a lot of stuff over there. So if you go to store.orderofman.com, you can pick up some merchandise from our store. And we actually just came out with a new curved brim flex fit hat. I know a lot of you guys have been requesting that. So that's in the store as of just a couple of days ago. So check it out. Again, store.orderofman.com. Now, the other announcement is our live experience. This is a 3.5-day event. And it's not like an event that you would normally see where you go into a conference center and people talk at you for 2 days straight. This is a lot different. This is very engaged. It's very focused. There's a lot of physical activities, mental, emotional challenges. You're going to be teamed up with 7 other men, and you're going to be put against some other teams, 3 other teams specifically, in completing some objectives and some tactics and some strategies that are going to help you create a new framework, create a new foundation for life. This is our 3rd time doing the Uprising event. We've done it twice before, and each time has been an amazing, amazing experience. And we've got some new activities. And I really don't get too much into the activities that we do. The element of surprise is an element of the experience itself. So if you are interested, I was looking at it this morning. I think we've got 6, maybe 7 spots left. So not very many spots. It's May 3rd through the 6th. 2018, May 3rd through the 6th, 2018. It's a great experience for you or a friend. Come with a friend. Maybe you've got your husband, because I know there are some women who listen to this show who wants to go. This would be a great gift for him, or even perhaps a son or a relative of some sorts. But anyways, check it out. May 3rd through the 6th, 2018, orderofman.com/uprising. Again, orderofman.com/uprising. Guys, that's all I have as far as announcements go for you today. I want to jump into this conversation, and it's that of makers and takers. I mean, there's really 2 types of people in this world, from my experience, makers and takers. And the reality is that we've all been probably a bit of both in our lives. I know I have. But I think more and more, I'm really seeing a pendulum swing in society from most of society being makers to now most of society being takers. It's not sustainable, guys, and it's not healthy, and frankly, I don't believe it's manly. So today, I thought I'd share why being a maker is not only your job and my job as a man, but it's much more profitable. It's a much more fulfilling way to live. And then I'm also going to share with you 5 very practical tips or mindsets for turning yourself into more of a maker and why you'll want to do that. But look, at the end of the day, it's easy to see why a lot of people believe that being a taker is going to produce results in their lives. And it actually will. That's the challenge. Being a taker will produce results in your life, but it's for a very, very short period of time, because when you're a taker, your results, those results typically come at the expense of other people. But being a maker is about cooperation. It's about cooperation with other people to create environments where every one of you wins, not just one party. When you create scenarios in which everyone wins, it's much more sustainable over long periods of time because it leverages your efforts from just you now to an army of motivated advocates for you. So if you take this movement, for example, with Order of Man, and more specifically even this podcast, I do this for free. I don't get paid to podcast. I've never asked you to pay me to deliver this information to you. Sure, we've got programs and offerings like I mentioned earlier with the store and the experience and the things that we're doing, but the value you get here in the words that I share is free. It's free and it's accessible to everyone. There's no barrier to entry here. What this has done in turn has created a movement that millions and millions of men are not only proud to support, but also proud to share with other men in their lives that they know. And this is just one small example of how being a maker inevitably turns into taking. And I want to be very clear on this. Making, which I think is synonymous with producing results in your life, should not come at your own expense. There's a point in which making becomes unhealthy. We recognize this when we see the perennial nice guy who lets himself become the victim to everything and everyone else. There is a point in time where you will take, and we all do a little bit of both. But I'm not necessarily advocating for being a maker simply so you can be a taker at some point. Sure, it often plays out that way, but that's just a natural byproduct of producing more in your life. Quite honestly, it just feels good to give to other people. Why? Because we're hardwired to do it. Think about our tagline. It's protect, provide, and preside. And all three of those roles have an element of service, which is making, giving. So yes, being a maker will help you win. But guys, as I said before, it's our job. So on that note, I want to break down 5 tips, 5 strategies, mindsets that you can incorporate to be a more effective, a better maker in your life. Number 1 is to be optimistic. If you're going to be negative, and negativity is all around us, but if you're going to be negative about every situation, you are more likely to be a taker. You're more likely to believe that the world is somehow inherently bad or that everyone is out to get you. And you know people like this. You might even be this type of person. I don't believe that's the case at all. I believe that people are inherently good and that most people are moral and ethical and probably want very much the same things that I want out of life. It's a good relationship, a little money in the bank account, a thriving career, some memorable experiences. And because I believe this to be true, I can see a bit of myself in every single person that I meet. I want people to win. I believe they can win. And if I can help them do that, you better believe I'm going to do that. And you know what? I'm willing to give people the benefit of the doubt because of it. Every once in a while, I might get it wrong, but it's never served me poorly to give to other people abundantly and to be optimistic about the opportunities that I have and the opportunities that this world creates. And along those same lines is point number 2, which is scarcity versus abundance. I believe that you can have one of those two mindsets, scarcity or abundance. Those with a scarcity mindset tend to believe the pie is finite. And that if I am going to win, it has to come at the expense of someone else. They believe, for example, that the rich only get richer at the expense of the poor. And they live their lives believing they have to get theirs, get what's theirs before anyone else, or there won't be any left. And those with an abundance mindset, they believe there is no pie, that there is more than enough to go around. And because they know there's more than enough to go around, they can share freely of their resources. They know they won't run out of that which they give to others because there's no tank. There's no tank that holds happiness and opportunity and connections, innovation, ideas that once depleted will be gone. It's like sustainable energy. These things cannot be depleted. In fact, the more that you give, the more you create. So it's in your best interest to create, to give, to produce. This is a natural principle. And then in addition to being optimistic and of an abundance mindset is point number 3. Makers are constantly, guys, looking for ways to create win-win scenarios, win-win situations. This isn't a negotiation necessarily, but an opportunity to make sure success for one does not come at the expense of the other. I think those with the taker mindset see a very, very limited set of solutions to problems, but a maker sees more than black and white. He sees the middle ground, the unconventional, the unorthodox, maybe even, those solutions to some of the world's biggest problems. And because he sees the world through that lens, he becomes a person who has the ability to get the job done. His reputation grows, his relationship thrives, his businesses explode. From the outside, others will probably wonder in amazement at all this guy's been able to accomplish and just chalk it up to the quote-unquote X factor, when all the while it was simply this man's ability to see a solution others failed to see a way that we could create win-win situations. And that actually leads nicely into point number 4, looking for creative solutions. I have a lot of people who will ask me how we've been able to rise to the top of a very, very crowded marketplace. The answer is simple, guys. Be creative when it comes to helping other people win. I want people to win. I said that earlier. I want you to get information from this podcast that will change your life for the better. I want my guests to sell their books and their courses. I want men to step up more fully into their lives as fathers and husbands, business owners, community leaders. I've said that over and over and over again. And because I want that so much, I spend time. I have the capacity to spend time thinking creatively about how I can help others accomplish the things they want in their lives. And here's one of the best parts. When I do this, when I am creative and helping people win, I make myself indispensable in their lives. Everyone can come up with the same regurgitated solutions, but if you can craft creative solutions to problems others may not even recognize they have, you will cement yourself as someone others need in their lives. And that's the power of being creative. And guys, I saved the last point, number 5, for last, because without this final strategy, nothing else I talked about really even matters. You have to be in this game for the long haul. I have talked about this before. If you haven't fully committed to being a maker in every environment in which you find yourself, you are not going to win long term. Let that sink in. If you aren't fully committed to being a maker in every single scenario that you find yourself in, you will not win long term. Sure, you're going to secure some short-term gains, but they won't last because you didn't do it the right way. Usually, what I found is that when somebody's in it for the short term, they'll jeopardize their principles because they know they'll be out soon, so they have to get while the getting's good. If you want to win for a very, very long time, plant your flag now and know that things will work out in everyone's favor when you focus on being around forever. You can't lie and cheat and steal and manipulate and coerce because there's nowhere to hide when you plan on being around indefinitely. Man, I know there's a lot more solutions and mindsets to living as a maker than what I've shared with you today, but I wanted to get the conversation started. But I want to hear from you now. What are your best tips for becoming more of a maker in your life and the lives of those that you care about? This stuff isn't always easy, especially when you're working to overcome mindsets that have been indoctrinated into you since childhood. But with a little thought and a lot of effort along the way, you can become someone who gives more than he takes and have the honor of calling yourself a man, because that is our job. That's what we do. So guys, with that said, let me give you a couple of quick announcements once again as we wind down. The one I wanted to share with you most is the Uprising experience. That's that 3.5-day experience in the mountains of southern Utah. We're going to be shooting. We're going to be doing some self-defense stuff. We're going to be having firesides every night. We're going to be teaching you about communication and leadership and team development, all of the things that I think go into becoming a more effective man in the walls of your home and in your business, your community, every facet of life. So those dates are May 3rd through the 6th, 2018, and you can go to orderofman.com/uprising. So I'll sign out for today. Remember the 5 tips to becoming more of a maker in your life. Be optimistic. Subscribe to the abundance versus scarcity mentality. Create win-win situations for people. Be creative in your solutions to help others win, and plant your flag. Be in this for the long game. Until then, guys, take action, become a maker, and become the man you are meant to be.
Thank you for listening to the Order of Man podcast. If you're ready to take charge of your life and be more of the man you were meant to be, we invite you to join the Order at orderofman.com.